because I'm a filthy casual, I pre-ordered a Steam controller in late 2015 and have since used it to play Fallout 4, Super Mario Sunshine, and Psychonauts. After playing at least 2 great games on it, I already knew I loved the Steam controller and its endless customizability, but I realized I hadn't used it for anything an Xbox controller couldn't already do. So, out of morbid curiosity, I attempted to create a Steam controller layout for the second Elder Scrolls game, Daggerfall. How'd I do it? If any of you are unfamiliar with it, Daggerfall is a 1996 video game and uses most of the keyboard for its controls. It also has special combat. Although bows and spells use a single button as you'd expect, physical weapons require that you hold the left mouse button and swing the mouse in the direction you want. This has been the biggest pitfall for creating Daggerfall controller schemes on standard gamepads, yet it's exactly where the Steam controller shines. By mapping the right trigger to a left click and the right trackpad as a mouse, you can hold down on the trigger and swipe just like you were playing on a laptop trackpad. Beyond that, the rest of the control scheme was simple button mapping. Even if you treat the left trackpad as 4 buttons, you'll probably still need more buttons than the Steam controller physically has. Again, the Steam controller takes care of this. You can set every button to have an alternate mapping when you squeeze the right grip, and I use this to map some buttons I only used occasionally, like switching between dialogue and info mode without interrupting gameplay. With Daggerfall allowing as many different playstyles as it does, I recommend making your own scheme that fits your playstyle. For instance, in my playthrough, I never used recast spell, abort spell, or switch hand. I didn't think I need float up and down, but for some reason the last third of the main quest you're expected to levitate everywhere, but again, no problem. I used the right grip to alternate button mappings, just like I did for changing your interaction mode. Here's a rundown of a setup that worked for me. As I mentioned before, the right trigger is mapped to a left click, so when I hold that, I can swing the weapon with the right trackpad. The right bumper is magic. The right trackpad is the mouse, so moving around or swinging your weapon, and when you click on it, it releases the mouse to specifically click on things, which you need to do a few times in the main quest. The face buttons I map to standard Elder Scrolls controls from the later games, things like jump, inventory, activate, and ready weapon. Start is escape for load, save, options, all that. Select is rest. The left analog stick I've mapped to all the arrow keys, and when I click on it, crouching. Steam lets me assign this left trackpad to become 4 extra face buttons, and I have these mapped to auto map, transport, world map, and character sheet. The left bumper is for magic items. The left trigger is for character status. The left grip is for running, and the right grip allows me to alternate what other buttons on the controller do. When I hold the right grip, the face buttons become different interaction modes, like talking, info, steal. Holding the right grip also changes the triggers to be float up and down for when you're levitating and need Z-axis movement. Also, make sure to change the mouse mode to view to use a more modern method of looking around. The Steam controller's keyboard interface can theoretically allow you to type things like yes, shut up, or father and hedgehog in, or any other things you might need to type when playing Daggerfall. I say theoretically because the Steam overlay is dreadful when playing a non-Steam game on a Mac. This is probably only a problem for 15 different people in the world, but it's worth mentioning. The Steam overlay I've noticed gets much more attention on Windows, and it's much more stable overall there. Even though the Steam overlay is hot garbage sometimes, I'm amazed that I was able to create a working and comfortable layout for a game as keyboard-centric as Daggerfall. I think this is a huge success story for the Steam controller, and a perfect example of its philosophy that it shouldn't require Herculean effort to play video games on the couch. I'd first started a Daggerfall file right around when my Skyrim enthusiasm died down early 2012, but rarely touched it for the next 4 years because it was so daunting booting it up again, relearning the complex keyboard controls. When I made this controller layout, suddenly the game became inviting again, and the rest of my week turned into diving into Daggerfall or wishing I could. This may be further proof I'm a filthy casual, but I just want to show that my appreciation for this thing is genuine. And to the Elder Scrolls fans watching this, I invite you to check out Daggerfall. It's surprisingly fun to kick back with the controller and spend hours lost in a dungeon looking for the goddamn mummy wrappings, with a beverage, and some happy music to offset the nerve-wracking sound effects. Morrowind's still #1 naturally, but any Elder Scrolls fan owes it to themselves to see the ambitious roots of the series and think about the possible direction things could have taken if Morrowind didn't end up establishing the small handcrafted overworld like it did. It frequently requires some forgiveness, but I have no trouble saying it's been one of my favorite, most memorable gaming experiences. I hope this makes you want to check out Daggerfall, or gives you some ideas of what you can do with the Steam controller. Hopefully I haven't incurred the wrath of too many original Daggerfall players with this. Be sure to tune in next week, where I'll show you how to play Dwarf Fortress with as little as 3 Steam controllers taped together. Thanks for watching.